Do you know a thing called private court? Generally, court is a part of government, but there is the existence of a private court where you can appoint your own judge, where you can appoint your own location, and where you can appoint your own method of getting justice, and that is called arbitration and conciliation, which comes under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996. The only condition is it should be with the consent of both the parties. Now, can you appoint a private court, or can you conceive the idea of a private court in the beginning itself? And the answer is yes. Because whenever you are entering an agreement with anybody, you have an opportunity to insert that clause called the arbitration clause. So you enter agreements every day, lot of agreements with lot of people, with lot of transactions. And if at all you have an opportunity to keep it in writing, for example, if you buy a cellular connection from a service provider, there will be a clause called arbitration from their end. So you sign the document but you don't see it. But as a consumer, you have the opportunity to go before the consumer court also, notwithstanding signing an arbitration clause. So there is an arbitration clause, and there is an opportunity to have the arbitration clause in an agreement which you enter with anybody. Any sort of agreement, you can have an arbitration clause. And once you have an arbitration clause, you can't go to court without overcoming that arbitration clause. Some welfare legislations like Consumer Forum overtake the arbitration clause, because to save the interests of the consumers, Consumer Protection Act was enacted. Therefore, arbitration clause becomes an underdog when the matter pertains to consumer affairs. So whenever you are entering an agreement, please make it a point. If you are entering a sale transaction also, you can have an arbitration clause. So when you are entering a lease transaction also, you can have an arbitration clause. So any sort of transaction, any sort of agreement can have an arbitration clause. It can be an exclusive agreement, or it can be a part of a main agreement also by having a clause. And once that clause is there in your agreement, you can't go to court without exhausting the remedy that is given under the clause through the act. And now the question comes, can you insert the arbitration clause if at all you fail to do it in the beginning itself? And the answer is yes. For that also you have to have a consent with the other side. And can you resort to arbitration even during a court case also? And the answer is yes. That is why Lok Adalats are formed. Arbitration clause saves a lot of time. The only condition is both the parties have to agree. That could be prior to getting into dispute, or at the time of agreement, or after the dispute. Also arbitration clause can be inserted, or you can resort to the method of arbitration. Even now it has become mandatory for courts, in civil courts, to resort to an opportunity to both the parties to settle the issue by way of an arbitration. Once a prima facie case comes to court from both the sides, and if it is arbitrable, court attempts arbitration. And the point is, the advantage you have whenever you are trying a civil suit, if at all you are resorting to arbitration or conciliation by requesting the court to transfer the matter to Lok Adalat, you have the advantage of getting the court fee back. It's an advanced method. It's a lot of procedure is there, but the condition is you have to have a consent with the other side. And if you both agree to appoint one judge or appoint 3 judges, the judge always should be an odd number. So it is only left to your imagination to settle the dispute through arbitration.